Today we have Chris Finigan, who resides in Cleveland. He is an accountant for the movie industry. He's been involved in films the movies such as Maverick, Fast and Furious 5, and Terminator 2. And it's very interesting because that's a very specific job. I'm interested in talking to him.
Throws me off. I mean, my psyche in the wind. Just when I was upstairs in the office yesterday and the wind was coming, I thought, throws me completely off.
What is it? We think there's a tornado coming, or what is it?
I guess in the morning when at 5:30 my phone started screaming at me, get in the basement. I thought there was I've never been in a tornado, only earthquakes.
Yeah.
But, so I guess it was the aftermath, maybe, right?
I guess, yeah.
That it was windy all day.
I guess we just got the remnants of it.
I think so, yeah. It went over us. Luckily, it didn't touch down, thank goodness.
Yeah, I think, knock on
Yeah,
wood.
knock wood.
Are you originally from Canada, or your family from Canada?
I'm from Canada. I was born in New Brunswick, and my whole Eastern Canada, and my whole family is from Nova Scotia. And I was the one that was born in the province next to Nova Scotia.
How old were you when you moved out of there?
I was 7. So my dad was actually my dad was a lobster fisherman to start with. And what happened was he and his brother, they lived on a small island in Nova Scotia. And from what I understand, my grandfather said that was too hard of a business to be lobster fishermen. And both the boys became bankers. And then in 1959, my dad moved to San Francisco with his banking career. And then we followed him in 1960 and lived in California for a while. And then I grew up in Las Vegas when he transferred with the bank there.
What part of, were you raised in San Diego?
No, never, no San Diego.
Oh.
That's where I'm going to move, actually.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm going to retire in San Diego.
My uncle's from there, San Diego.
Oh, yeah? Wow. No, I just bought a condo 2 weeks ago in San Diego, and I will, after 20 years of being in Cleveland, I am going to retire in San Diego, hopefully at the end of the year.
So 20 years here, you came in what?
2003. I bought a house here in downtown Cleveland and then bought rental properties. The basic thing was to come here and buy rental properties and see how that would work for my retirement, and it's done pretty well. And then my mom died like a year later. Mm-hmm. They were in Reno, Nevada, and then Dad moved here. And at that point, he was in construction after banking. So we love construction. And he moved here and helped me with my rental properties. And was here until he was 89 when he passed away.
Is that right?
Yeah. He loved Cleveland. I think having been from a small town in Nova Scotia,
I guess, yeah.
He just loved it here. It was his favorite place.
Do you remember the cartoon Underdog?
I do.
Wasn't it a Canada-based cartoon?
Oh my gosh, I don't remember. But that was one that I would watch when I was a kid.
Well, I believe it was a Canada-based because
Really?
he was supposed to be a Canadian dog.
I've got to look that up. I never knew that.
You never see it anymore.
No.
I don't know. That's why I'm pretty sure it's from Canada.
Yeah, you don't think of that one very often, but I did watch that one.
Is the weather the weather in California is really nice, right? That's the reason.
Where I'm going is the best weather in the world, I think. San Diego has just phenomenal weather.
What is it
it's
like?
A little boring in that it's all the same, I think. When I was there last November. We went out there looking for a place to buy, and it was just always the same. You'd wake up in the morning, go, isn't this beautiful? And then you go about your day, and then you wake up, isn't this beautiful? And you go about your day.
Is it like mid-70s or what?
I think probably in the summer. Right now, I think the high is probably 60. I was there last week, 2 weeks ago. It was probably 40 to 60s in that area. And then, of course, when I was there in November, I said the two things I will miss will be the rain and just the kind of the buildings, the trees, the greenery in Tennessee and Georgia. And so I think when I left in November, it rained ever since. So they've had a little bit too much rain in San Diego now.
Was it hard getting used to Cleveland after coming from California? Is it that much different?
It is, but what happened was when I moved here 20 years ago, I'm still working. So I never, since there's no films made here except one that I know of, I would always leave town to work. And so I would come, I would enjoy my house, then I became this rental property person, and then Dad was here, but then I would always go off to work. I'd work around the world. Once Dad kind of got here settled in, and then as he aged up, I wanted just to work in Atlanta. Atlanta kind of became our film capital outside of LA and New York in the States. And so I decided, Atlanta's very busy, so just work in Atlanta. And
they say that Atlanta is where a lot of the films are being filmed now versus California because of, I forget what the reason was.
It's the tax credit. Oh. So there's a tax incentive. I don't completely understand it, but what happens is Georgia offers money back, an incentive for you to film in the state of Georgia, to use, Georgia vendors to spend your money there, to buy things there, to use the crew. And of course, you can bring crew in from California, you get 30% back on all of that.
That's significant.
It's a lot of money. Yeah, it's a ton of money. And I would say it's the biggest state that does this outside of probably New York. And then California has a tax credit, not quite as big. I've never worked in California with the tax credit, so I don't understand that one. But Georgia's got a big one, New Mexico, New York, and then, of course, Canada, where this all kind of started, this tax credit situation many years ago. But so Georgia's the place to go. And now they've got studios there. I mean, most all the Marvel things go there.
Well, my friend Dale Liner is an actor in those.
Oh, really?
I believe he was in one of the Fast and Furious movies.
Really?
I had him on here one time. It's very interesting because he goes to Atlanta. And,
Yeah, no, it's the place for actors. And
where are they mainly at in Atlanta? Are they like kind of grouped in one area?
They're all over. I mean, Trillith is down in Peachtree City. Yep. So they built the Trillith Studios down there. That's huge. And then when I have worked there, actually the last probably 4 years, I worked at a studio called Blackhall. And it's, what is it, in southeast Atlanta, kind of? And then there's some in North Atlanta, some studios. And then sometimes people just rent a big office building and then they rent a stage somewhere else if they have stage work. Some of the films, there's no stage work, so they just, film on locations. But it's really all over Atlanta.
When you watch a TV show or a movie, you don't have any idea that behind the scenes is an accountant or
Yeah, of all these people, I mean, there's, let's say hundreds of people work on a film. And we as accountants, myself and my team of people, assistants, we travel around the world to handle the money. And
why wouldn't they just handle it themselves? I guess they're busy with.
Yeah, I suppose years ago they might have, but in the 40s, they may have all handled the county stuff themselves. But now we go out there and we do the payroll. I mean, there's a company that does the payroll, but we process the time cards. We pay all the bills. For years until, let's say, COVID, there was petty cash. So people would come to you, get lots of cash. They would buy things, bring the receipts back. Now it's all via credit card, but we still handle all those finances. And so when you're spending millions of dollars a week, you need some team of people there basically processing all of that.
Now like the budget for, what was that? What was one of your biggest ones? I can't think of the name of it right now. The one
the one I just did was pretty big. It was Color Purple Musical.
Yeah.
But like the Fast and Furious movies, they're in the hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, there's movies from, $100 million, which I've never worked on, but to the hundreds of millions of dollars.
What would some of yours are like $40 million?
Yeah, that's I used to always say my favorite ones are 30 and 40 million. Those are the ones where you don't have extreme personalities in the producing area, and you have enough money to make a movie, and you have not the, let's say, the high end or the arrogant personalities that do all their different crew jobs, let's say.
So let's say I'm going to start a film and I say, well, I think it's going to cost me $40 million, from the caterer to the actor to the stage sets. Then I don't just start writing checks on the weekends. I've got to hire somebody over. So how do they contact you and say, hey, can you do our accounting?
Our budget. So the first thing is they would do a budget. So I basically work on studio films. There's the studio film, there's the independent film. I tend to be more of a studio person as my career has gone along. So the studio tends to put a kind of a template budget together. They'll say, okay, we're going to make this movie for 40 million bucks, and here's the ingredients, here's what's going to happen, and and then they'll choose a city or a country to go to, and then their studio accounting person will start to put together a budget with the producer. Then once they know that's probably going to get ready to be made, or they call it green lit, they will hire the the accountant will come on, and they will take over the budget, and they will fine tune it with the production manager, which is the person that, hires the crew, is in charge of the equipment. Then you have a producer who is more of the kind of creative person. And usually myself and those two positions work on this budget, starting with me. And you just start at the top and you go down. There's a program called Movie Magic, and we do budgets. And you just start at the top and go right to the bottom of every ingredient, including that cup of coffee you have.
In other words, just like I would estimate a house to build.
Yep.
They'd say, here's about what we want to spend, and then I create a budget that fits it.
You always back somewhat into it. Every show I've worked on is never...
When you say back into it, explain
They'll
that.
say, okay, let's say you had $40 million to build your house or to build this movie. Then you start to put it together. Again, you go down from the top to the bottom, putting all the ingredients in based on information you get from the studio, your producer, a cast budget. They hire, Joe Blow to be your main actor. They say he gets $1 million. So you start to put all that together. And as you put it together, you hope to come to the $40 million. And then as you go along, you tweak it. You get more information. Traditionally, it's always over to start with. But as you get more and more departments on, the costume designer will say, okay, this is what it would cost me to make this movie. These are the crew members I would need. This is the money I would need, et cetera, et cetera. And each department starts to give you their plan based on the script. And then with the producer and the production manager, you start to fine tune it, and then, of course, it always becomes a little bit of a battle. They will go to the departments and they'll say, okay, your budget's a little bit too high. What can you do to make it better? And then, of course, once they get that one done, another department comes along and theirs is extremely high. And then you go back and forth, just trying to get to the bottom line of 40 million bucks.
What if they go over?
Well, at the beginning, you try not to. At the beginning, the studio will sign off on it. So the studio, and you also deal with the studio execs as this process goes along. Let's say on a $40 million movie, you have about a 12-week prep. So you start by putting this together. The production manager, producer starts to hire crew, and they start to give you their information. You start to show them where you're going to film it. The cameraman comes up with the equipment he wants to use, and you start to get bids on all of this stuff, and you start to put the numbers together. And then the studio oversees this as well. They always will ask us, where do we stand numbers-wise? And it always, probably in the middle of this process, in the middle of the 12 weeks, it becomes, okay, we're a little bit too high. So what do we do? So then you have a writer that traditionally writes all the way along through this pre-production period. And of course, the writer doesn't really care. They will blow something up. They will go into space. They'll do whatever they want because they're sitting at home writing this thing for us to watch. And then it's up to the producer or the studio to kind of say, let's tone that down. And it becomes sometimes a back and forth between all of that. Eventually, a scene will get cut, a scene will get added, and you continue this whole process for this 12 weeks until you hopefully sign off on a number that everybody agrees on. Now, the ones I've worked on, traditionally, they usually come into the number. They'll start with the correct number. And then as you go along, like on the last one I did, of course, the problem was COVID came along, and that was kind of the wild card in the last probably 3 years, is that if someone got sick, you had to stop, people still get paid. And so sometimes that would kind of throw the whole number out the door. But Most movies I've worked on, I've been lucky that with the people that manage them, is that it seems like you pretty much come in under budget.
If you come over budget a lot, you start getting that name as the guy that comes over budget.
Yeah, probably not me, but yeah, you'd have a producer or you would have a director, maybe a director who's the big one, of course. I might say, okay, that director keeps making these movies, but every time he makes a movie, they tend to go out of control. Like let's say our director from Terminator 2. So they tend to, not necessarily care as much about the money, but then of course, in turn, they make phenomenal amounts of money. So the profit is so high that you as a studio probably realize, well, that particular artist is going to make you a lot of money. So
when you say artist, you mean actor?
the director. Oh. Yeah, the director, let's say the director's movie. I mean, it tends to be that person's vision of putting us all together.
How long where do they get to 40 million?
I'm not sure.
I mean, it'd have to
I
be
always wonder. It always amazes me that you make all these movies, and some of them you make no money. And it's, I guess, through advertising. I mean, the studio, the studio has their investors, I suppose.
I guess that's the way before and the way after your part. You you create a budget, you help it keep on budget, notify them if it's going over budget,
yep.
And then it goes to the box office and you're done, maybe.
And then, I mean, I know nothing about publicity, but also publicity is expensive. So you have your $40 million movie, then maybe you have $10 million in publicity costs.
Is that above the 40 million?
Above the 40, yeah.
So that's not in your scope?
Nope. Ours has nothing to do with publicity. So you go in, you then publicize the movie. So let's say you spend another 10. Then you've got to get that money back. And then you have interest on that money.
Yeah.
So
interest would be a large.
Huge. That part I know nothing about. But, and then some movies come out and make a fortune, and some movies come out and make $1 million. So hopefully I assume that all in all, it balances out because we still work on them. The studios still make them.
Isn't that something? All of that work for a 2.5-hour movie.
Mm-hmm. People wouldn't realize all that stuff that goes into all of that. You just see people walking down the street talking, and you think, oh, that's pretty easy. You don't realize the hundreds of people standing behind them.
Plus, even in the movie, there's people walking down the sidewalks, and they're paid actors.
Yep, and they're background artists. They're paid. So,
Are they
all those little animals you see, they're all paid.
Or they're handlers,
Yep.
right?
That cricket or that dog, they're all paid, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is everything from the picture on the wall specific? I mean, if you see a scene, there's a picture on the wall, that's well thought of.
Mm-hmm. Everything.
Like here, there's nothing thought of.
So I'm looking around this room, and this would be, the set decorator would come in, the production designer would come first and say, this is the room I like. Then the set decorator comes in, and they start putting all of this stuff together. Mm-hmm. So every single thing you see, they have gone to the store and bought or rented, and they put it here. And even if it's just 10 seconds of film time, it's all been done for weeks. They have planned to put this room together.
Instead of having this here, they might have it like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then some others will go like this, the next person will go like that, and then they'll bicker back and forth until they decide which direction to put that in.
What would the cast be a budget for a $40 million movie?
It could be around altogether 5.
That's to me that seems.
5. I mean, on a $40 million movie, you could have $1 million, $2 million player in there, and then you have a lot of less expensive players. But that player, to get that name, that person that would draw you to that movie seat, could get a couple $1 million, and that is easily covered within that $40 million.
And that can make the difference between everything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah.
Now these indie films, like Blair Witch Project. Did you ever watch that? It came out of India.
Bits and pieces of it. It was made for like $1.50.
Yeah. And a big success.
Very big success. I think it made like $150 million.
Yeah.
And these kids did it it was in Orlando, I think they did it in the field or behind their house, wherever it was.
It was.
Yeah. So those things, that's the exciting part of the business, is that you, for very little money, make a movie that makes a fortune. And that's the exciting part. And some of these horror movies that are made for small amounts of money, that in turn make a large amount of money. That to me is the really exciting part of all of this.
And nobody knows really the rhyme or reason, right?
None. I mean, I think what they're banking on now is you have these tentpole movies, these big sequels, and these big, I call them roller coaster movies, the big Marvel movies. In general, I mean, they make a lot of money. And so you make them over and over and over. I mean, those are not the movies I go see. I'd rather see a smaller movie.
But they get cult followings,
They
right?
do. And then you have a young crowd. I mean, I'm not the audience that goes to a movie. So you've got the younger people who will go over and over and see those movies or, you know, or stream them or do whatever to, you know, to see them.
And now people are they're doing the reels and the shorts, and they're those 30-second TikTok videos and stuff.
Everybody's making their own movie. You know, you're all.
Will there ever be a lost art?
I don't think so. I don't know. I hope not. I like going to the movies and I like watching television. So I like the entertainment value of it all. So hopefully it doesn't go away. It changes, I think.
I think it'll stay around. Documentaries are really good. I
love documentaries too, yes. And they become, I think, even more popular as time has gone on. And now with the Netflix, you know, there's always a new one every week. And a lot of documentaries about things you want to see, people you want to hear about.
Even if you're not that interested in, I get captivated on them, those documentaries. And
once I turn one on, I don't turn it, I just keep watching.
Me too.
Because it's like so interesting the way those people do it. I don't know what those things cost, probably not a huge amount of money, but they're great. I love to watch them.
And if you're at now, who's the head guy of a movie? Is it like the director, the producer, or the owner, or how does that work?
It's the producer and the director. So you have the studio who's really overseeing the whole movie.
They own it. Maybe?
They own it. They then hire a creative producer. Let's say that's the person like the Steven Spielberg, the Oprah Winfrey, who were on Color Purple. They're the ones that oversee the creative part of the movie. Then you hire someone to come in and to be the executive or line producer. That's the person who kind of is the liaison with the studio financially. So the studio will go to the executive line producer, who I work with, who's kind of my boss on the location, basically. And that person's in charge of the financial side of it. And he deals very closely with these creative producers. And then you have the director. And it depends on how powerful is the director, Steven Spielberg, who's very powerful, or is it some person that you've not heard of who, you know, may be a really good director, but doesn't have the final say on the product as a Spielberg would. And so yeah, it's the producers on the set, the creative producer, the executive producer. That's kind of the person out there that the studio has sent out to represent their money and their interests. And then those people, especially the line producer, is in charge of everybody below him or her, all of us, to kind of make sure that we do our job so the director can do his or her job.
Now these movies, the ones that you've worked on, they come out at the movie theater?
Yeah. So I've mainly done what I call features. So they're in the theater. The Color Purple will be in the theater. I did something, Father of the Bride, that was before the Color Purple musical, and Father of the Bride, the Latin version, was on HBO Max. So in the old days, we would have called those a TV movie, but now they're a streaming movie. So they're made to go basically on the streaming services. So when I first started out and did television films, they were of course a lot less expensive, and they would go on CBS, NBC, ABC for 2 hours, and you would watch those as a TV film. And they were made for a lot less money. Now the streaming thing is somewhere in between. You do these streaming movies for these pretty elaborate amounts of money. And again, I don't quite know how they make that kind of money, but they go on the streaming services. But they are still made as you know, pretty expensive films. But most movies I've worked on have gone on the big screen.
You know, it's different than when I was growing up. A movie would come to the theater and it would be there for 10 days or something like that. And then I remember on Andy Griffith that he'd have Barney go down and check the billboard to see if they'd changed the movie yet.
Yeah, one of the big things, I mean, maybe before COVID, is the movies would come out. Problem was they came out too quick. So
Yeah.
a movie would come out, and you say, I mean, I went to the movies all the time
Yeah.
before COVID, and the movie would come out, and you go, okay, here's the 3 big movies of the weekend or whatever, and you would go try to see one or whatever. But what happened was they'd all leave too quick. So you're spending millions of dollars on these movies, and they're lasting a very short time in the theater.
Yeah,
And you can't find them. You go and say, where's that movie? And in a week it's gone.
And you forgot about it by
Yeah.
then.
And then another one pops up. Now, less and less of that now, because it seems like with the streaming services that there's less that are showing in the theater. They're starting to come back. Top Gun kind of brought that back, where people went back to the theater.
You know, I believe
somewhat.
you're right. I believe it came back. That was,
Top
and they
Gun
were
did it.
filming that during COVID. Remember, he got mad or something.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was screaming at somebody, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. But I think Top Gun brought people back into the theaters. I mean, more than any show, I think, during COVID.
And Elvis.
And Elvis, that was my favorite movie,
Yeah.
actually, one of my favorites. And that one was a great film.
I'm not sure if they portrayed Colonel Potter that bad in a.
I knew nothing about him, and so all you saw was Tom Hanks' portrayal,
Yeah.
which was pretty whacked. So you
Yeah.
thought, was this person like that? Who knows?
How could he have been that way and
Very strange.
and been so successful?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sure if.
I
I'd like
don't
to
know.
see another movie that portrayed him as
Yes.
the genius that maybe he was.
That's just someone's version of whoever he was.
It's all it
who-
is.
And none of I don't know him, so knew him, so how do you compare? Yeah,
Right.
What is that person? But that was a really good film.
Movies influence people, don't they? Everything from Grease to Saturday Night Fever. Remember that?
I love that one.
And,
I have a story about that one. So when I started in the film business, my first job in the film business was for the producer Dino De Laurentiis. He was a big Italian person
Yes.
from the 40s, 50s, whenever, and he had moved to Beverly Hills, and I went to film school. This was in the 70s. And I thought at some point I'd like to work in the film business, and I was going to school, and one of the professors one night said, "What are you all doing here? Why don't you just go out and work? I'm showing you about Alfred Hitchcock. I'm showing you about these different things in the film business that you can learn sitting in school, but you're going to learn more by going into the field." So he said, I just would go out and get a job, which I thought was pretty amazing for a professor to say this.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh, that's interesting. So he said, you want to put a resume together and you want to go and try to get a job for somebody, which I had no idea how to do. And I had moved to LA all by myself. I didn't know anybody. I went to film school. And so I thought, well, how does one get a job? And so I looked in the phone book, because there were phone books back in the day.
Yeah.
And I went to the production area, and I thought, I'll circle people I've heard of. And so I was circling names in the phone book under production company or whatever it was, I don't know. And one of them was Dino De Laurentiis, and I had taken Italian in school. I didn't speak it, but I loved Italian. So I thought, well, he's a big director and I mean a big producer, and I know his name.
Got a vowel at the end of his name.
Yeah, and I thought, this is interesting. So maybe I'll start with that one. And here I was, 23 or 24, in film school, and I thought, okay, now how do you do this? And of course, my resume had nothing on it except that I worked at Bob's Big Boy, known as Shoney's back here. And that's all I had ever done.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I'll go in and see, how do you get a job? I don't know. And so I remember I was in Beverly Hills, which I had driven over the hill in the LA area, and I went to Beverly Hills, and I remember circling the block, and I was nervous. I thought, I can't go in. So another couple of days went by, and I went back again. I thought, just get out of the car and walk in the door. And so I walked in the front door. It was a large atrium, I guess, that when you went in. There was no one. There was one woman sitting at a desk. And I said I was here to apply for a job. And I'm sure she thought, who the hell is this? Yeah. And I said, I had this little resume. And she said, and I guess it was a quiet day because, she took a liking to me. I don't know. But she looked and she said, okay, I will talk to our business manager in the back of the office. I'll go and talk to her and see if she's interested or interviewing people for a job. And so I remember, and I'm sure her main job was to get rid of this nutcase in the lobby. And so she comes out and she said, yes, Barbara's not busy. She'll speak to you. And so I thought, dear God. So I went back and I think the office had about a dozen people. And it was very grand. It was kind of it was very rich looking to me, this office. And so I went back and I interviewed with her. And, she actually said, "What is your hobby?" And I thought, I don't have a hobby. I said, "I can type really good for whatever reason, and I can type pretty good." So she said, "Okay, we'll give you a typing test in the middle of this 5-minute chat." So I she took me to another office and she had me type. And then I came back and we chatted some more. And she said, "Okay, well, thank you for your resume." And off I went. And so I went back to school and kept going. And I ended up, I think maybe 1 or 2 other places I actually took my resume, but I just didn't like doing that, nor did I know how. Yeah. And so the professor had said, now, when you take your resume in, you do need to follow up with a phone call, but not bug them too much, but you need to make sure they still know you exist. And so I called a couple times during, let's say, a 6-month period. And, she said, "Yes, thank you for calling and goodbye." And then finally, I remember one time, maybe the 3rd or 4th time I called, she said, "Now, Chris, I need to tell you, I'm going to be blunt. We're never going to hire you." She said, "In this business, we have one position that you could fill, which would be the office PA." And she said, "Every time there's a position that becomes available, Dino has another relative that will get that position." So she said, "Yeah, so you will never get it, but just to kind of let you know how this business works." And so I said, "Okay," so disappointed or whatever. And about a month later, I was at home one night and she called up and she said, "The PA has just quit. I liked you. If you can start in the morning, I won't tell anybody he has quit and you will be here." And so the next morning I went in and I was there for a year.
What was your duties?
Well, there's an old-fashioned thing, which probably in the audience nobody knows, called the telex. And so what happens, it was called the mailroom then. I mean, the mailroom was a big thing in Hollywood. You start in the mailroom, and it actually was the mailroom. The mail would come in, and there was a Xerox machine, and I would Xerox for them. And so what happened was there was a machine you would type, because I was a good typer. Of course, it was in Italian, but you would type messages on this machine, and it would go on a little strip of paper. It would make little dots in the paper, and it would zap to somebody in Rome or wherever it was supposed to go. And so they would constantly bring down letters to me, and I would type these letters in. And that was one of the big functions, is to run
in Italian.
In Italian, or English, or both of them. But at least Italian has letters you would understand, unlike Russian, which many years later I worked in Russia on a show I had to type in Cyrillic. But so I would do those. I would run around town, get whatever people needed. I would, make Xerox copies, deliver things room to room at the office. That was kind of the function. They made no movies in there. The movies were made out in location. And but going back to Saturday Night Fever, what happened was I had become friends with the projectionist. And one night he said, and then one of my big jobs was to go for Dino, had a massive projection room at his house. And he would watch every film, all the new films. And so my job was to go to all the different studios, and I would go to wherever the films were held, and there were these massive cans of film. There were the original films, and I would deliver the films to his house. And so I would go up to the mansion, I would drop off the film to his projectionist, and then I would leave. And then the next day I would go back and take the film back, and that was another huge function, was picking up film after film after film for them to watch. And so one night I had no idea what I'd picked up, and one night Hector said, "Chris, I think you need to stay for this one." And so...
And who said that?
Hector, the projectionist. Okay. He said, "Dino and some friends are going to watch this movie. It's going to come out soon." And he said, "I think you might enjoy this one." And he said, "I think you should stay." And he said, "Join me in the projection room." And when it came on, it was Saturday Night Fever. And it was before it had opened. I loved it. It was a great movie. So I got to see it before most anybody else.
Or before it was even...
It wasn't out. No, it had not come out. It was done. It was all in the can.
He was still...
Sorry, I guess
he was still Vinnie Barbarino.
Yes, he was. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But carrying that pink can.
That was a great scene, wasn't it?
Scene. I saw it a couple of years ago at the Fox in Atlanta. It was the 45th anniversary, I think. And I went to see it again.
Did you ever get to meet him? I'm sure you didn't, right?
Dino?
John Travolta.
Not Travolta, no, because
Yeah.
that wasn't their movie, but it was just that he would see movie after movie, and then every night I had to take another cans of film up to the house, but that was one of my functions.
So that wasn't one of Dino's films.
No, he was making, when I started, he had just finished King Kong with Jessica Lange, and when I was there, he was doing something called The Brinks Robbery. I think it was Peter Falk, I don't even remember. But there was a few films that they were working on. Most of his films were sent to be made in New York. So, except for I think King Kong was made in LA. But a lot of the films he was doing at the time were back east.
Now, these people that get, when you have like a $40 million budget and the cast is $10 million and the main two characters get 5 of that, does that money go to their, you don't write a check to them directly, you're writing it to...
Everybody, anybody that kind of salary has what they call a loan-out company. It's a corporation. So it would be like Dee Burris, Inc. And you pay them over, basically the way they're paid over the amount of shooting weeks on a movie. So you take their fee, you divide it by the shooting weeks, and you pay them that amount of money each week to their corporation. And then that goes to an agent usually. The agent takes their money and then takes their cut out of it and distributes the rest to the actor.
So the actor may not be getting...
They get a lot of money. They get, I think I'm assuming, let's say 10% of their money goes to an agent or their manager.
Yeah, or maybe 20.
And maybe 20, and then there may be other people involved.
Yeah.
All we do is basically, there's a company that writes these checks. We send the information to these companies. They then, at this point, they wire the money into the bank account, usually at the agents. And then we send the entire amount of money, and then the agent does, or that person does what they want to.
So you're not paying the actual actor, you're paying their
company, their loan out
their
company.
corporation.
Their corporation.
And probably a corporation just for that movie, maybe.
No, they tend to keep it the same. And actors I work with twice, it's always the same kind of company name. It's still Dee Burris, Inc. They may change, it depends on their financial structure, I suppose. They might change it at some point, but it's usually the same one. It's always interesting, the different names that some of them have. You think, I wonder where they come up with that name.
Let me tell you about Capstar Bank. They're located in Nashville, Hendersonville, Gallatin, Athens, Madisonville, Sweetwater, Etowah, and in Cleveland at 950 25th Street and 3855 North Ocoee Street. I've used them. I like them. Give them a try. They're no problem.
It seems like the sets and everything would be so expensive.
They're pretty hefty,
I was watching a movie the other night, and they backed a concrete truck up, and they were pouring concrete into a house, and I thought they had to rent the truck. That was real concrete. I could tell it was real. And all of those, and they had to have somebody to clean it up.
Yep, you had to get someone had to rent the truck. They had to drive the truck there. They had to put the cement in. And the person had to either build the set that was going to be destroyed. Usually if it's destroyed, it's been built. And it takes quite a while to build a set, and you have lots and lots of laborers.
Even throwing the scene away after you shoot it.
Then you got to tear it down.
Tear it down, and throw it away.
And you put it in the trash. We are somewhat a wasteful business. Then you take all that set and you just looking at your drawing here.
When would you ever need that again? Probably
you
never.
You won't. On some shows that I work on, let's say there's a main house that you were shooting in. You then what's called fold and hold that set. You then at the end of the show. You on the stage, if it's on the stage, you fold it and you store it until the movie is done, in case you had to go back and do some reshoots.
Right.
And then if you're on location in this house, like we were sitting in here, there would be something in the contract that said, if we had to come back to do reshoots, Dee, we're going to rent your house again for this amount of money.
Do you have to, when you get a job to do that, do you have to bid that process out, or do they just... It's pretty standard.
They do. There's a construction coordinator, so that person is in charge of building the sets.
But your particular role.
My role
as the accountant.
Yeah, I would get the information from. If you were the construction coordinator.
Say I'm getting ready to start a movie. I say, hey, I need somebody to do my accounting here. do I just call you and hire you, or do you say, or do they put that out for bids and try to get?
No, the studio. I'm come to the studio.
Yeah.
Traditionally, the studio would call me and say, "Hey, Chris, we have the Color Purple musical. Are you interested in doing that?" And then what I do is I would usually talk to the executive producer. So they want to make sure that I, in the first conversation, let's say that with the executive producer, he and I would talk. And usually, I think a couple times I guess I have gone on, let's say, interviews that I didn't get. But traditionally, they try to match up their accounting person from the studio, or that the studio likes me and me, let's say, with the executive producer. Mm-hmm. And but they want to make sure that there is some kind of camaraderie, I guess. It's a quick thing.
Well, they call it jihad, so they can jihad, kind of go together.
They do. They want it to match to some degree. Now, you don't know in one conversation if we're going to match or not. I did years ago. I was up for one job, I remember, and I went into interview with there were two producers, and I went in to interview them. And I remember sitting halfway through the interview, I thought, "Oh dear God, please don't hire me," because I couldn't stand the two people. But you never know, and I think they didn't like me either because they didn't hire me. But traditionally, no, the studio is the one, because it's the financial side. The studio hires me for our position, and then they match us up with somebody else. Or, I tend to basically work in Atlanta, so they're going to look for a job that says, "Okay, here's an Atlanta job, and then Chris Finigan is available."
And you couldn't hire just a regular accountant. You'd have to hire somebody that was familiar with the movie industry.
I think so. We all have to start somewhere.
Because it's so specific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to kind of, let's say in my group, there might be 5 assistants, there might be 10 assistants. And then those people, you learn as time goes on, and those assistants move up as well to my position.
Does the movies have to file? You wouldn't have to file a tax return on the movie, because that would be the studio's overall tax return.
I have no clue about tax returns. So
that would be the studio's.
They do all that, right? Yeah. We basically pay the bills, as legal. You have to pay them legally. You have to tax. People have to be taxed, and
you have to hold out.
You have to withhold. That's all done with this company that does the payroll. Union benefits have to be paid on their behalf. That there's certain benefits have to be paid. Sales tax has to be paid. All this stuff happens. But our job is to make sure it's legal on location, and then the studio takes the other side of it that I have not a clue how that must work.
How did it jump from getting the job because you could type to being in your role now?
So let's see what I do. So basically, after a year as Dino's office assistant, one of the people I had become friendly with had actually been fired and went to another company. He was in the legal department, and we'd become friends outside of work. And once he left for the new company, he said, "Look, Chris, it's much more enjoyable at this company." So he said, "You need to come over here." But I had still done the PA job. So what had happened is, at the end of my PA job at Dino's, I decided I need to go somewhere else. Like he said, "You need to come somewhere else and do something else." So the only spot at Dino's really to move was in the accounting department, because it was so small. And I remember I became friends with the accounting people, and I said, "Do you need," I had no idea about accounting, but I said, "Do you need any help in this department? Could I do something to help you guys?" And so, I remember, I think there was a few weeks where they said, "Okay, yes, we could use you doing whatever they do in their accounting department." They basically were on staff. The movies would come back from location, and they would do, I believe now would be post-production. So they said, we could use a clerk to help us do some accounting work. If they will let you leave your position, then you can come into here, and we will train you to be an accounting clerk. And so that, I think, and I can't quite remember, it went on for about a week. And when my friend said, quit and come over here, I thought, "Oh my God, I've only had this job for like a week." He said, "Don't worry about it, just quit them, and you come over here." And so I remember going to the accounting person and saying, "Well, you know what? I've been offered a job somewhere else. I only work, it must have been a week or two. It wasn't very long. And she actually was, she said, ours is not going to be very busy. Maybe they were just being nice and they let me come and work with them. So she said I would take the other job. So I went to the other company. And again, it was kind of, I would call it an accounting clerk type job. It was in their offices. And again, I would handle some of their stuff that their movies would come back in, and I would help the accounting people. I guess I was their clerk, I suppose, paperwork clerk. I can't even remember. And so I did that for probably a short period of time. And it was, both of my bosses there had been accountants in the field, so they do what I do now. And so I think they thought, okay, we're accountants, and here's a person we want to train. So they were very helpful to me, and they were showing me different things that they did. I think with the whole idea that I would eventually be them in the field. And so I want to say this might have been a year and maybe less than a year, but I would do things for them, and then they sent me out on a job to help somebody. That really wasn't their job even. They knew a friend who had an accounting team on a show, and they said, why don't you go and help him out? Because he needs help, and you can do that since our job is not very busy now. You will work with us in the morning, and then we'll just let you go to this other job in the afternoon, even though it's not the same company. So probably what they were doing may not have been something they were supposed to do, but I went out and worked on this other show. And then from that one, and again, I'm going to backtrack here a little bit. So what happened was they had a show that was in New York called Defiance. So I was still the office kind of clerk type person. And this was a movie that had come back, had shot in New York. It's in 1978, I think it was, when they were doing these kind of gang type movies. There was a few, one was called Warriors and one was called Defiance. I think Warriors actually became the more popular film. But they said, we have this movie Defiance coming back. I was kind of working on it in the office, just doing some office work for the accounting person who was in New York. And he comes back, and on a Friday, they had come back during the week, and it was being filmed in Hollywood. And I remember I went down and saw him on a Friday, and the office was in disarray because they had just come back from New York, and I had to take him some paperwork or something from the studio. And he said, well, when you come back to help me on Monday, do something, whatever I was supposed to do. He said, you'll find it much more organized. Everything will be unpacked, will be organized. And so I said, okay, fine, whatever. So I then leave, and then I get a call Monday morning that he had broken his arm playing baseball. So that I called my lucky break. So he was fine, but for some reason he broke it so bad he couldn't return to work, or he didn't want to return to work. And so I went in, and my boss said, Chris, you need to go down to that office you were at on Friday. Kurt has broken his arm and can't come back, and you need to be the accountant, but you need to pretend you know what you're doing. He said, take your calculator and just say yes a lot, because they're going to be nervous because they're filming and they don't have an accountant. And so I went down, it was in Hollywood, and I went down there, and I'm sure I completely screwed it up. But that was really, my first job was that. So so in that period of time, so let's see, from a year as a PA to maybe, 8 months as an office accounting clerk type person, and then I became the accountant. And that was, of course, that was many years ago when there wasn't as many
Was that
rules.
scary?
I was probably too dumb to know. So I just kind of sat there and went, yeah, whatever. I barely remember it, and I'm sure I screwed up a lot of stuff. But from there, then, because again, Gary and Connie were these two people in the office, they just took a liking to me. So they kept pushing me along. So when that was done, they pushed me on to another one. And then after that one, I just kind of became the accountant. I mean, that one happened where actually I went in and I was helping an accountant who actually was an alcoholic, which tended to be a big thing, I think, in the day. And I went in there as just the helper because he was having trouble. And I think the bosses realized, whether I knew what I was doing or maybe that I didn't drink or whatever, after about being there less than a week, they came to me and they said, we're going to fire Joe Blow and we're going to make you the accountant. It was a television film. And of course, again, I can't imagine I knew what I was doing. But so that was the second film I did. And then I became the accountant. And then after that, I basically became what is known as freelance. So instead of going back to Connie and Gary at the studio I was working at, I basically decided I'll be an accountant now, for whatever reason. Maybe I knew what I was doing. Then I will just try to find my own jobs. And so I did that one. And then luckily while I was on it, one person in the film said, well, we have another job coming, so we'll hire you to be the accountant on this job. So, okay, fine. So it really just started that way.
Can you do two at a time?
Oh, God, no. I couldn't. I'm sure people do. I can barely walk and chew gum at the same time.
You have to wait till one's done.
Yeah. So you finish one and then you go to another one. I mean, the scary part when I first started was being a freelance worker is when a job ends, you then have to find a job. Well, it depends on your reputation. Well, who knows you, Chris? Yeah. So nobody knows me. So luckily, I kind of went with the production manager who was in charge of hiring the crew. So on the second film I did, he brought me to his next film. And so that's how I got to the next one. And then I think I worked with him maybe 2 or 3 times, I think, on these small television films. And then I was on one where he was actually fired. And that production company kept me. And then I worked with him on a few films. And then after that, by that time, I was starting to meet people. And so then when a job would end, I would call you, or I'd call you, and I'd say, do you guys know of any jobs? You just call your contacts, which is what we still do today, and find out whether is there a job. Or once you become attached somewhere, you know, studio people, like I could call Warner's and say, do you have a job? Or I call Universal and say, do you have a job? And that's how you do it. It's just your connections, basically.
Do you ever have some periods when you don't have nothing for like 3 months or 4 months?
Yeah. You know, I've gone, I mean, at the beginning, I would go months and months and months. And this is, of course, you know, there wasn't much money. You know, luckily it was cheaper to live then. And I would have no jobs. You start to get panicked. I mean, we all do that in the film business as you go, oh my God, I'll never work again. That's a famous line that we all like to say, which is actually happening now since the Writers Guild are negotiating their contracts, so there's no work out there at the moment. No new work out there now. So people call me now and say, do you have a job? Do you know of a job? Well, no, it's one
You're
of those
getting the
things.
calls.
Yeah, I'm getting the calls now because it's dry out there right now.
So the Writers Guild, is that where they're on strike?
Well, they're not on strike yet. They're in their second week of negotiating. Basically, and it has to do with the streaming services and the residual. So when that movie is shown over and over and over on Hulu, well, how do we make money when it's shown over and over and over? And but little pieces, that's what they're looking for. I don't understand it. I don't know how it all works. But I think right now the writers go first, followed by the actors and the directors. So those are the 3 really big unions. And I think they're all I think something's going to happen because I think they need to know, you know, how do we get our residuals? I think it's gone on too long. So I think now, even though we all do need and want to work, I think now they want to make a point. Nothing new is starting up at the moment.
And I don't know how they would get residuals for that when somebody can...
I don't know how it works. We know how it works when you went to the movie theater and then you showed it on an airplane, you showed it on TV, you showed it in Mongolia, you knew how much that would cost. Who knows how the streaming service works? I'm sure there's a formula. But I think that's what they're probably all trying to hash out. So right now, the AMTP, oh my God, the producers and the Writers Guild are negotiating a contract. Now, if for some reason next week they were to have a contract they all liked, I think if the Writers Guild came up with a contract they liked, it would then trickle down to the actors and the directors, and they'd probably all be satisfied. We hope they'd be satisfied. Their contract runs out on May 1st. So by May 1st, if there's no movement or a decision, then the directors are going to come forward on May 10th and start their negotiations. So hopefully both sides will somehow come together before there is a strike. I mean, there has been some big strikes over the years.
Has there been several?
There was a big one in 1980. There was a big actors strike. Because I remember, this was before the cell phone, where I was going to do a job actually breaking away the TV series in Athens, Georgia. And so the producer that I worked with was doing this TV series. And so they were setting up in Athens, Georgia, that we'd all work there. So I remember getting in the car in LA and driving to Athens, Georgia. not realizing there was an actor strike brewing, like we would know now with the internet, with the phone, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. And so I'm just driving across country. I spend 4 days. I get to the door of the production office, and they say, turn back and go home. The actors have just gone on strike. Oh, I mean, we had no, and they didn't know. They would. I mean, I don't call in, and they wouldn't know in 1980 where to call you. So
Yeah.
I just continued driving across until I arrived and was told to turn the car back and go home. So I turned around and went home. But that lasted quite a while. It was quite a period
Do
of
the
time.
indie films, do they keep producing, or are
Well,
they
you
in
can. So what happened when that one, I don't know how it works nowadays. So when I got back to LA, our producer said, oh, by the way, we have a little TV movie, actually with Johnny Cash, that we can do in Cincinnati. So what we have, he was able to, because he was an independent producer, he then signed some side letter with the AMPTP that said, whatever is negotiated, we will follow. So they allowed him to make his little movie in Cincinnati. So what happened is we all then went to Cincinnati during the strike and worked, knowing that whatever the outcome was, everybody would be paid that amount of money.
whatever
So,
the new system is?
was. And so we ended up doing that. And I think the strike ended when we were doing it, because I remember leaving Cincinnati and then going to Athens, Georgia to do Breaking Away. But I don't know if that exists now. I mean, it might. I'm not in the TV independent world. So the little shows, I don't know if they can, like right now, keep going if they're saying that they will abide by whatever the strike comes.
If you're an actor, can you act without being in the union?
I don't think so. I mean, that's really rare. I mean, I think the contracts have a low budget actor, the SAG, Screen Actors Guild, has a low budget deal that if you were doing a $500,000 movie, I think you hire the actors, you pay them probably a lower scale, but it's within their union. I've heard of that. Otherwise, I don't know. I mean, unless you were making a student film, I think you pretty much always have to have a Screen Actors Guild member.
Seems like you could do it on your own and not be a member of the union if you wanted to.
No, I don't know.
Like Blair Witch Project, they
Maybe
probably
then
weren't.
you probably, well, yes, something like that. I mean,
Maybe you have to if you're trying to really get big and some
Yeah.
notoriety.
yeah, I mean, if I was going to make a student film down the street, I could probably hire you. Probably shouldn't hire an actor who's in the union. You probably have to hire people that aren't in the union.
Right.
And they use that as their calling card to become a union actor.
Right.
But they're a pretty big union. I mean, I think you really have to be in their union to be in the movies. I mean, even crew members. Years ago, I worked on what were non-union movies, and they seem really rare now. That everyone is in a union, and whether they're low-budget union people, I mean, they have all different groups that you can be a low-budget union, or a medium-budget union, or a high-budget union, but you're still paid union, some form of a union wage and a union benefit. So even the non-union films have seemed to have gone away.
I built buildings that had elevators, and if you put in an elevator, you've got a union. All the elevator people are union. Mm-hmm. And
I suppose I would want that. I at least want to make sure they knew what they were doing.
You don't want to argue.
Yeah, I don't want to go falling down 20 stories.
You just so you just have to abide.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and you know, it's again when I work on, let's say, lower budget movies versus the hundreds of millions of dollars movies, you can tell that the crew on the bigger movies, I mean, all of them are experienced, but the crews on some of the really high priced movies, they seem very experienced. They know how to do all of this stuff. They've learned how to do the big movies, and their teams know how to do all of this stuff. Versus you're in a lower budget movie, you sometimes have people who haven't done it a lot, and don't have that experience.
Yeah, in other words, you know they're going to show up, and you know they know what they're doing, and you know they've got to follow all the rules. Everybody knows what's up.
Exactly. I mean, that's why I'm sure the higher price movies hire, let's say, you who really are experienced versus someone that may be new. It'd be like me in accounting. You don't want to hire someone that probably doesn't know this kind of a film versus someone that's brand new.
Yeah, it's a very specific. You have ended up in a career that's very specific, and probably very few of them.
I think there's a lot of us, but yeah, it is. It's
Well,
specific.
in the
You
big
have to know,
scheme
yeah.
of things,
Yeah, I don't know how many
I
of
didn't
us
even
in a
know.
group.
I didn't even know your title really existed But I can see now that it's very specific.
I mean, if you stay at the end of the show and you watch all those screen credits go by, you'll see
Yeah.
all these different positions. And we're always clumped together. There's the accounting group, there's the wardrobe group, the makeup and hair group. But there's a lot of people that it takes to put these things together.
People don't watch those credits at the end, do they?
I do. I do, but I want to see all the
Set
different names
designer.
and people who do things. And, I always stay to the end of the movie. That's just me. But I've always done that.
What were some of your favorite movies growing up?
Well, my
that you
favorite movie
remember?
of all time is Cabaret.
Cabaret.
Cabaret with Liza Minnelli. That's my favorite one. Growing up, my favorite 3 comedies were in the 60s and 70s. It's a Mad, 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 Mad World.
Well, that was good, yeah.
The original Out of Towners.
I don't remember that
It's Sandy Dennis and Jack Lemmon. And What's Up, Doc? Those are my favorites. I think the 70s are the best movies ever made.
It's a mad, 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 mad world. That came out about, what, 70?
No, that was probably 63, 64. My parents took me to that. My mother loved the movie. So
Maybe
they
I'm not
took me.
thinking. I'm thinking of the one with Burt Reynolds and the other guy, and they're going under the.
Not Cannonball Run.
Yeah, I'm
They
thinking
had
of
that. That was that
I'm
same
thinking
idea of
the
movie.
same idea.
Yeah, the same idea.
Same-
You take lots of. In the in the 60s, you take tons of celebrities and you throw them into some wacky comedy, and that's what It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World was. And then I loved Hitchcock movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then to me, the 70s movies are the best movies ever. I mean, you have Godfather, The Last Picture Show, Nashville, phenomenal
The Last
movies.
Picture Show, was it made in the 70s?
1970, 71 in Texas. But that to me was a phenomenal film. But again, I think the 70s, those are all the new directors too. That they just all, the Steven Spielberg, the Coppola, George Lucas, Bogdanovich, all these people just starting out. And they made these great films in the 70s. So those are
What
some
about, who's that guy? He does a lot of screenplays. John Malkovich?
kind of the actor John Malkovich,
Yeah,
right?
the actor John Malkovich.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen his stuff is kind of strange, right?
Oh, yeah, very strange, yeah.
I don't know his stuff except it's kind of strange. I like him as an actor.
Yeah,
but
very, real good movies.
yeah, I don't know his movies
He
very
had
much.
the Finding John Malkovich was one of his.
Yeah, never saw that one.
It was really, really wild. It's not a lost art, but to me, I like the older films that had the big cinematography and there were more films than movies.
Like the Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
That was
Bridge
a
on the River
film.
Kwai. Yeah, these massive, I guess we would call them cinerama
Yeah.
movies. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
just huge looking, beautiful films. Yeah, those.
And that,
I mean, I guess Titanic would be in that group, maybe.
Yeah. But now they got all that CGI
stuff. Oh, I mean,
I can detect
I think
that
it looks pretty
so-
amazing, but still, no.
I can tell it's not real.
And now everybody uses it. It seems like so
Forrest
many
Gump
films.
was one. No, was it Forrest Gump that really started using that big, where the actor's legs were cut off? But
Maybe, yes. Yeah, Gary Sinise.
Yeah.
So they might have been,
I like
a lot of
shows like The Honeymooners.
I never saw The
Jackie
Honeymooners.
Gleason.
I've never seen The Honeymooners.
Well, you're doing yourself a big injustice.
Yeah, I have
because
never
it's
seen
funny.
it. Is it?
And
Yeah.
it's those like The Honeymooners was filmed in one room. Like Cheers. Cheers was in one room. And,
Yeah.
very rarely did they go
go
into
outside.
his office, but it was just one. And like the Beverly Hillbillies, that was
I love that movie.
that was,
the
that was
60s
good.
shows
That
were
was,
great.
that was
Yes.
Paul Henning, right?
I think so, yeah.
Henning?
Henning, Henning.
Yeah, Paul Henning. And he did that, Green Acres, and
Petticoat Junction. All those things. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's so funny.
All those shows.
But they were made, what do they call that? Single camera.
Probably
They were done
yeah.
with a single camera. The people walked by the camera. Like Happy Days was
Yeah,
a single.
versus the 3-camera, I guess
Yeah.
years ago they did the 3-camera sitcoms.
Like
right?
here we got three.
Yeah,
we
with
got
3
four
cameras.
cameras.
Well,
But-
one's broken.
Yeah, one we got, well, the cord's off.
But,
Got a loose.
Yeah, we're a 3-camera show here, so
Nobody can tell, can they?
I don't think so. No.
But
But they were great shows. I mean, actually, I went to, I think it was Happy Days, and when I first went to LA, we
Yeah.
would like to. Our thing was to go to watch tapings of these sitcoms.
Oh.
And I think Happy Days and Mary Tyler Moore. I saw
Mary Tyler Moore, yeah.
the one next to the last one, because the last one you had to be invited to Mary Tyler Moore. I think I saw the next to the last episode we all went to watch being taped of Mary
That
Tyler
was
Moore. Which
Mary
is
Tyler Moore was
a phenomenal series.
that was
the best
about
ever.
in the newsroom. Who
In
is
the
that? Who
newsroom.
was her co-star?
Lou Grant.
Lou Grant. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
He was a man's man, wasn't
That
he?
was a great show and a great cast. Yeah.
Which
that one of
one
the
was
best.
the one where the girl threw her hat up
That's
in
Mary
the
Tyler
air?
Moore, Minneapolis. She throws her hair up at the.
She throws
the
her-
hat goes up in the very beginning and there's credits. And,
Well, you know, it's
the rest is
funny
history.
about those shows. There's an art to it,
Mm-hmm.
because they will have something in the beginning that cues your mind into it, like that hat,
Yeah.
and like John Travolta walking with that paint
paint can.
can. We both knew that,
Yeah, we do.
and you know, it doesn't really matter what it is. I've noticed it's just got to be. Like I've been watching reruns of Coach. Did you ever watch it?
Loved Coach.
Coach, it was
Loved
good.
that show. Uh-huh.
In the beginning, they say
Great show.
Coach is filmed before a live studio
That
audience.
always sounds weird to me. The people that laughter, I can't stand when they do all that stuff. But that was
The
big.
laugh track,
Mhm,
yeah.
The laugh track. Yeah.
You know, you don't notice it. And if you ever watched one without the laugh track,
I suppose I have. I don't know.
it's not good.
Isn't that something? Because when I see hear a laugh track on them, I don't. It
You don't
irritates-
notice it.
You don't notice it.
Yeah.
If you do notice it, it's very
And why
irritating.
do they have to tell us it's filmed before a live audience? I wonder
I
why
don't know
that
why
is.
they do that.
But see, that cues you into that show.
Yeah.
It's
Like a play.
It's like a
Because
play.
when I was watching Mary Tyler Moore live,
Right.
you become like the audience in a play. And they act like a play. I mean, they film it, and at the end of the show, they always come out and they take a bow and do all this stuff like you're in the theater. And it looks simpler than you see it on the screen. When you watch it on TV, it looks terrific. When you watch them taping in person, it just looks so small. And not much to it. It looks very simple compared to watching it when they put it all together.
I've often seen these sites that'll show you discrepancies in movies and things that were out of place. I don't want to see them.
I don't either. No.
I don't want to see them.
No, don't tell me.
ruin
Yeah,
it.
those things. Yeah, that cup was on this side, and now it's over here.
Right.
Yeah. No.
And I was watching, but I do. When if I notice it, it's okay. But I just don't want to be told. But I was watching. Remember Barney Miller? Mm-hmm. Well, that was really fun. It was a better show than it got credit for. But I forget the one actor there, Ho John,
Which one?
Jack or something. He was
Kojak? Or
it was the Asian guy, I believe.
oh, I don't know.
But he
I know
was
Hal Linden. That's been.
he was standing there and talking to a guy, and then the camera goes to the other guy, and they come back to him, and he had sunglasses on.
Oh yeah. You notice this every so often, not very much. I
Yeah.
mean, it's the script supervisor's job to make sure you don't notice it. But yeah,
But what is it that makes some shows so great and some are not? I don't think it's.
I think
it's not necessarily the actor. I think the actor gets. I think the actor gets the attention to watch it, but they're not necessarily.
I think it's the writing. You have to write a good thing.
Paul Henning was an example
It's
of that.
the writer.
Great writing.
Our producers who produce the same ones, that same group of producers that may produce 5 different
Yeah.
shows, it's them putting things together.
And you'll notice on some of those sitcoms, it'll say, have different directors for different episodes. And if you watch them, you can see the kind of the personality of the director because of the episodes that he wrote versus what some of the others wrote.
And some of them, I think, was it Mary Tyler Moore was it James Burroughs? Had almost the same director all the shows.
See, that's good.
Some of them do.
In my opinion.
Have all, I mean, and you watch them now, because I like to, again, watch the screen credits. You see those directors are all different on shows. So,
Yeah, I think that having the same one makes it a show consistent. And another thing I've noticed, some of these sitcoms, when they don't, or not sitcoms, but I guess, what would you call a show that comes on regular, like even Gunsmoke? That's not a sitcom, but
no, it's just a drama. I mean, I call them soaps, but there's another word for them. Like it's continuous. Like you keep going every
continuum,
week.
right.
I mean, you know that character's going to do this, and you
and
follow
he
that
stays in character.
through.
And you can pick up from last episode some stuff.
I tend to like shows that I watch that, are more continuous,
Yeah.
as opposed to some of the cop shows. There's a new story every week. Although a lot of them now, I'm watching East New York now. I watch this one that I like. But even that one there's all these different things happen each show. There's a different crime to be solved or whatever. But the characters that you know tend to carry on with their lives and they move it forward.
That's right. Like on Gunsmoke, Miss Kitty was his girlfriend, and that stayed consistent.
You
through
do. I don't know what that word is, but yes.
I think it's, do you know Gwen? Series.
Yeah, series. I guess they just keep going, but I like that.
I guess that would be it, series.
Yeah, I don't want something that is completely different each.
But then came along the, what do you call it, the reality shows.
Oh, no, those.
Because they don't have to pay actors.
No,
right?
the reality shows, I'm not a big fan of those, but I don't
What
watch
was
them
one of the
either.
first reality shows, besides Candid Camera? I guess. I don't know if that was a
Was
reality.
that a reality show? I mean, there's game shows. That wasn't.
Game shows and reality.
Game shows.
And that
I like
was a little
game shows,
different.
actually, so.
But the reality show was maybe, I
mean,
can't
was
think of it. They
American
just
Idol?
sort of evolved when I wasn't looking.
Yeah, they happened, and then I think there was the writers did strike at one point where a lot of reality
Maybe
shows.
that's what happened.
Survivor, which again,
Survivor,
I've
yeah.
never seen, but there's that
How about
one.
that Naked and Afraid? That's
Naked
the
and Afraid.
craziest
Oh
show.
my God.
They'd
Yeah,
have
you
to
know.
pay me. They couldn't pay me enough.
The race. What is it? The Great Race.
The Great Race, right?
Yeah, there's that one. Of course, I like the HGTV shows, but those are maybe different than reality. I guess those are reality shows to some degree.
Give me an example.
Oh my God, the one in Laurel. The one in Laurel. What's that called? Oh my goodness, with the Napiers, with Aaron. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name. It's Home something.
We'll think about it tomorrow.
Yeah, we will. But those Property Brothers were the biggest ones. The Property Brothers did those HGTV shows. But to me, now there's a ton of.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Those guys, the twins.
Yeah, the
Kinda
twins,
tall.
they kind of started it, I
Yeah.
think, with the HGTV.
Yeah.
But there's a ton
They
of
have
those
that
shows,
in
and they're
every
so
doctor's
good.
office. Every doctor's office has them playing. Why they do that? Who is thinking about?
I think it's easy, maybe because you're right. I was at the doctor's office recently, and the same thing. They had the HGTV shows on. They're light to some degree. You just watch them. You could walk away and not.
To me, they're disturbing because that's my business.
And
And I know that 2x4 is not exactly cut laying over there.
Yeah, no, it is still a TV show that is scripted.
But who is thinking about remodeling their house when they're getting ready to get their blood panel?
I don't know.
I mean,
It's
if I was
better
them,
than
I just
watching
have
the news.
I just have some light elevator music.
Yeah. But somewhere I did notice HGTVs in a lot of doctors' offices.
Every
lately.
one
Yeah,
of them,
Yeah.
because I built a bunch of them, and they always want cable or internet so they can plug that
Plug
in.
that in, yeah. Yeah, I think people just like those shows.
I built one doctor's office, and they had the TVs in every exam room, and they were set to when they shut the door, the TV would come on, so
Really?
that you couldn't hear
The people next door
people
screaming.
next door.
That wasn't, the only place I've noticed that is over here at Urgent Care. They've got a TV in every room. I've never noticed a TV in a room.
Oh, it's common now.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's the only one I've noticed. Because you go in and there's that TV on. A lot of time I'll turn it off, but because I do want to hear what's going on next door.
Well, I want to hear if they're coming down the hall to get my chart out of the thing.
Not make you wait a long time.
On the courthouse square at 30 2nd Street is the law firm of Logan Thompson Law. Since 1965, they have served the legal needs for the good citizens of Cleveland-Bradley County. If you've got a problem, they're no problem. Give them a call.
Now, 22nd, you also did 22nd Jump Street, right?
I was the second unit on that one. That was hideous. How'd you know that?
I saw it on the internet.
Oh,
Yeah, 22nd Jump Street.
20, was it? I've never seen it. I mean, there's only a couple movies I've worked on I've never seen. That's one of them. It was such. We went in to help, basically, my team and I, and we were what they called the second unit Puerto Rican accounting team on Jump Street, which I think was supposed to be Mexico. I don't remember, but it was so hard to work on. It was just a crazy show to work on.
What makes some shows or movies become such a cult, like a cult following, like
I wonder.
The Big Lebowski? Did you ever see that movie?
I've never seen that one either. I like the comments. No, but it's amazing how someone just
Well, it was a flop when it came out.
Was it? Yeah.
And now they've got a cult following there nearly.
Yeah, no, it's a phenomenal. I mean, that is Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
I would think that's just his character. John Goodman, right?
Yeah, John Goodman.
It's them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and it's Coen Brothers. I think the Coen Brothers.
Coen Brothers.
They're good there because they do some whack things. They're a great team.
They're some of the best, right?
Yeah, they're really good. And so, what happens when a movie comes out, makes no money, and then everybody goes to watch it? I don't.
And then later.
Something picks up. I mean, I guess, and now, of course, it's easier to watch everything.
Maybe they're ahead of time. Maybe they're ahead of their time.
Maybe there were, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what does it.
Do you get to meet any famous actors when you're doing that?
I do at times. It depends. If they, we are on the locate. We're on location, so it depends on if they come into the office. We get to meet them. If they're a producer, we get to meet them. Yeah, it depends really on the actor. There's been some really actors that just come in to meet everybody and are part of a team. Like years ago, I worked with John Voight, and he loves, and James Garner is another one like that.
Oh, James Garner.
James Garner. So Maverick, they just love being around the crew.
Well, that was a good show, wasn't it?
Maverick.
James Garner.
Oh, Rockford Files.
Rockford Files. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I worked with Stuart Margolin, who was his sidekick, but I worked with him as a director. But you have the actors that come in and want to be part of the group. And that was these guys, the James Garners, the John Voights, that they feel part of the crew as well. I mean, there's the cast, there's the crew, and then they mix together. And there's some people that like to mix.
So some people don't want to mix.
I think not, probably. I mean, I don't know them, Years ago, I worked in Atlanta on a thing called the Guyana Tragedy. It was a James Jones story. So a year after the Guyana thing all happened, the producer I worked with decided he'd make the movie, a miniseries.
The main one? I mean, the only one that's been out?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was the thing happened, but in 1978 or whenever that Guyana happened, and then the producer I worked with he did the show a year later, and we did it in Atlanta. That was the first time I worked in Atlanta. And we all stayed in the same hotel. Nowadays they tend to segregate. The cast goes to the foo-foo hotel, the crew goes to a nice hotel. So when we did Guyana, we all stayed in the same hotel, and we all became like this big family. Every actor came in that was in the show. They hung out in the office. We went to dinner together. We did things together. We went shopping together. That, of course, is one of my first movies to work on. I thought, is this how it worked? I mean, it was phenomenal. And we all
didn't seem like work, did it?
No, we all went to Puerto Rico to do the Guyana scenes. And again, everybody hung out together. And it was a pretty amazing cast. But that doesn't tend to happen much as it used to. So it depends on the personalities, I suppose.
Now, what are your hobbies? You were asked before. You were asked that before.
I don't type very well anymore. So, and I cannot text very good. I'm a slow texter, and I talk text, and I say god-awful things that sound horrible when you see them in type.
Well, I do that too.
Oh,
I don't
goodness.
Look. Yeah, I've gotten in a lot of trouble that way.
No, but I guess I like the real estate side of it, but if I had a lot of money, I'd be a big real estate person. But The houses I bought, like managing them. And now at the end of the year, hopefully I'll be able to sell most of them and I'll be going on to San Diego. So yeah, I don't have any hobby. I guess, yeah.
Are you
Hobby's a weird word, I suppose. I don't
Yeah,
know what it is anymore. I
you know,
like to read.
that is an odd thing because what is the difference between a hobby and a pastime?
Pastime, I guess, yeah. I mean, interestingly enough, the place we just bought in San Diego, the condo was built in the 70s, and the condo complex has what they call a hobby room, which I've never heard of before. A hobby room, what do people go on, quilts? Woodwork? I don't know what people like. When I get there, I'll have to go look to see what this hobby room is. I could see having a gym in the complex, but a hobby room, I don't know what you would do in a hobby room. But I will find out.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they work puzzles or jigsaw puzzles or
I
something.
guess that sounds so boring, but hey.
Yeah.
No, I'd rather just,
What about cats? Are you a big cat lover?
Oh, you know that, yes. A cat fan, yeah. I'm a huge cat fan. I drive people crazy with cat stories, I'm sure I have.
They say cat lovers are the best people.
Well, there you go. Thank you.
That's what they say.
I love cats. I got that from my mother. We've always had a cat when I was growing up, and I've always had a cat or two my whole life. And so now I have 3.
I have 3. I have one at the house, and I've got 2 stray cats here that have been here for. One of them's been here for, I don't know. I guess it's maybe 12 years or something.
I have
10.
I have one inside, and then I have 2 brothers outside. They're 16. And I'm training them to become indoor cats because I won't go to San Diego without these cats with me. They were born in the house next to my dad's downtown.
Well, they won't hardly, an outside cat won't hardly become an inside cat.
They're doing pretty good. Well, what happened was I've got one that's been doing really well, and sadly, he just got kidney disease. So now I thought he was mad at me because he wouldn't come in the house. Lately, when I come home, they'll come in the house a little bit. Then the door closes, they want to go outside.
Yeah.
They do like my indoor cat because she was an outdoor cat to start with, and they knew her. So Rex comes inside now. But then what happened was a month or 2 ago, I was home, and he would kind of ignore me. And then I found out, luckily, just before I was to go back to Atlanta, he came to the door. He came in, thank goodness, and he was very sick. So he's doing well. I mean, he's fighting kidney disease. We basically, take care of him. My roommate gives him all his medicines. We give him the sub-Q fluids. And so we have 2, it's like a vet inside. We have 2 cats being taken care of medically in the house. And then the 3rd cat, which is his brother, now doesn't have anything to do with this. I don't know if he can smell that something's wrong with his brother or the fact that we want him to live in the house. It's a weird thing. In the last week, he has ignored us, and usually he's always there to eat.
Maybe he's thinking that it's your fault or something, that you won't let him out or something.
I don't know. And then, because when he comes in the house, the more rowdy one, as soon as he wants to go out, we let him go outside. The other 2 are not allowed to go outside, as we don't want them to run off because they don't feel good. So I don't know. And then we have 2 neighbor cats that come by, which, we're trying not to feed, so they'll stop coming by.
What do you feed your cats?
My goodness, I have renal food, kidney food for the cats that are sick. And the other cats, I give them Fancy Feast.
That's what I give mine.
Fancy Feast, I think is what
That's
I give
expensive. It's
It's
like
expensive.
$1 something a can.
It's not. It's becoming everything. Our food and their food is becoming more expensive. But I've asked the vet, what could I give them that's fairly healthy, not like I'll call it Friskies or something that is cheap that So I've given them the same food kind of forever, and they've been really healthy until this kidney thing happened. But that's,
I get the variety pack.
No, they don't.
The variety pack of Fancy Feast.
I think like me, they've never liked beef. So none of my cats will eat beef.
They'll definitely prefer fish.
Yeah,
and
chicken. And I understand fish is not great for cats for this kidney disease thing, but they tend to like chicken. They don't like turkey. So it's just, even though they're outside cats, they're a little bit picky.
Then I wonder why cats will not, when you call their name, they won't come to you. Like
That's why I like a cat, because they're independent and they'll do whatever they want. They'll say, go to hell, or they'll come running to you. They're
going to do exactly
what they want. Not like a dog who...
And they all have different personalities.
All of them, yep. Mm-hmm.
Do they hear your name, do you think? When you call their name, do you think they hear it?
I think they might hear it and ignore you. I don't know.
They will totally ignore you.
I don't know.
They've got to hear it.
Yeah. I would think they know their name, but I mean, I go outside every night and call BW's name. He's our other cat, so he doesn't come, but I don't know. I still call his name. Maybe it's our tone of voice.
I don't know. And they say the cats only see red and black. Why?
That's a sad thing, but who knows? Yeah, I hear black and white. Animals see just black and white, right? I don't know.
I think they said cats see only red, black, and white. And if you're wearing red shirt around a cat, it'll look at you.
I'll
wear
have to try
something
that
red.
one. I don't have red shirt.
Yeah, they'll watch. They'll watch you if you're wearing something red.
Really?
Yeah, I've noticed
I've
that.
never heard that. Wow.
But not dogs.
I don't know. The dogs.
I mean, you're not a dog lover.
No, we had one dog when I was growing up. That was the only time I ever. And then a couple. No, I lived with some guys and we had a dog then. But my dad always had German Shepherds, and I like dogs, but I couldn't give them the attention. And because my job takes me everywhere, I thought, no, it's too. I would like an animal that could ride in the car and enjoy it. That would be a dog, but no.
Cats do not need a lot of attention.
That was just good. Mm-hmm. No.
Now, you went to high school in Las Vegas?
I did. I went to, yes, I kind of grew up in Las Vegas. I lived there.
What could
for
that
6, 7
have
years.
been like in Las Vegas? I can't imagine.
I lived in Las Vegas before they blew it down, I guess, as opposed to up. So I lived in Vegas in the 60s. So it was all.
How far were you from downtown Las Vegas?
Gosh, it had to be a few miles. I'm trying to remember. We all
that
lived on one
close?
side of town. And I went to a high school that was brand new. Yeah, I think we were pretty close. I mean, I don't know, because I can't remember.
But you were in high school.
But I was in high school. I was in junior high, elementary. At the end of elementary school, I went from the 6th grade until the 11th grade in Vegas. And then we moved to Reno, Nevada during my senior year. But I liked it. I mean, I just remember going to, on walks in the desert, because we had that part of town wherever we lived in our part of town, not very far away from there was the desert, and you would go and explore. That part I loved. My family didn't gamble, but we would go downtown and at that point see shows, but it's different now. I mean, I have a good friend of mine lives in Vegas now.
It would be hard to grow up as a kid in Las Vegas, I would think. You'd have a different perception of regular high school, maybe.
I suppose, yeah, but I think high school seemed to be fine. I mean, I think going to school would be fine.
Was there a lot of, they got a bunch of dealers and people there that are from all over the world? Was the high school mix pretty good as far as nationalities? Or was it?
I can't remember that either.
Must not have been that significant.
No.
What about Reno?
My memory's horrible going backwards. Reno, I went to my 12th year of high school there and I never spoke. I don't think a parent should ever move a child in their last year of high school.
Oh, you were
But
mad?
my parents didn't probably know that or, didn't figure it out. So Reno is kind of a blah. I mean, my brother lives there now, my nephew. They've been there forever. We moved there in 1971. 1970 we moved to Reno. But I went to college there for a little bit before I moved to LA. I worked there a little bit, but it's kind of, I think you have Vegas, which is this grand city, and then you have Reno, which is, I guess a stepchild of Vegas.
But it's still gambling, right?
It's really pretty because you have Lake Tahoe. So I think from the setting wise, it's gorgeous where it sits. Yeah, gambling at a smaller degree. I mean, you have the gambling there too. But I can remember bits and pieces of it. I don't remember as much. And then off to LA I went.
You've had an interesting life and career.
I have. I'm very blessed, I think.
Are you working on any movies now?
No, because of the writers
That's
were
right,
waiting.
yeah.
So my goal, which everybody makes fun of me because I say I want to retire and people kind of laugh, but I was hoping to do one more and then retire. And so I'm ready to go to work.
Why one more? Because they'll take
It's
you
just
till
time to
about
go.
then?
Yeah, I think, it was just kind of the plan. I would do one more because I liked the last one I worked on, and I'll do one more and then organize selling the houses here. I have to do all that stuff. And since I work in Atlanta and I come back and forth, I can get everything ready here to go, hopefully by the end of the year. I bought the new place in San Diego, which I will use as a rental until I can get there to
How do you rent that? Airbnb or VRBO?
No one will let any of that happen. So any of the rentals, the same as a place in Atlanta, you have to rent it at least for 30 days. So I'm going to go through a rental agent. So I've set that all up in San Diego.
I wonder why they're so against that VRBO and
well,
stuff.
I think what it is if you have a house, it's fine. But which is what I rented a VRBO when I went to San Diego last time. But I think within an apartment complex, you have your group of people who live there permanently, or some are renters, and you just don't want new people coming in every day, a new couple coming in, a new family, a new person. I just think it's the turnover. It's probably why they don't want it.
But I think, in my experience, there's less activity with those than there is.
Because they're not going to do anything. If you have
No,
it furnished, they're going to come in.
It's just a satellite motel room.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
If I could do it in some of these places, I might. But all contractually, when you buy in a condo unit, it's always you cannot do this.
In that case, you could see.
And then in a house, I think you can. I mean, I know I see some of them downtown Cleveland that I can't imagine anyone doing Airbnb in Cleveland here, but they've been doing little houses down in the historical district.
Oh, I've got about 3.
You do, yeah.
Yeah, they work good.
And do you rent them much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time.
Wow.
Just constantly.
Because I thought of that at one point. Now I'm leaving, but I thought at one point, could you not buy a little house in the historical district and Airbnb it?
Yeah.
That's great.
It's good. Mm-hmm. But how far are you from, you ever been to Death Valley between Las Vegas and Los Angeles?
Never been. It's the same thing when I grew up in Las Vegas. We never went to the Grand Canyon. The first time I went to the Grand Canyon was when I worked on Maverick. So I had never in all the years, I'd been to Hoover Dam in Las Vegas.
I've been there.
And probably because we went there on a field trip from our school.
I think I went.
Never did we go to the Grand Canyon, and never did I go to Death Valley.
I've always wanted to go to Death Valley.
Last year was the hottest place in the world, right? The hottest temperature
So the
ever.
average temperature was 116.
Yeah, no, I've never. I might like to see it now, but yeah, no, I've never been.
I think that's where all the criminals went years and years ago because it was so hot. The sheriffs couldn't come and get them because they,
or the mob would kill them. Who knows? Yeah. But no, we never. I don't. In fact,
Did you deal with any of the? Did you see any of the mob when you was in Las Vegas?
No, not that I know of. They might. I was too young, but who knows? I do remember my parents. I mean, the only thing about Vegas, I remember my parents. Some of our neighbors would gamble all their money away. I remember the parents would sometimes say, "Oh, that neighbor," It's just the gambling thing. I'm not a fan of because I don't ever expect to win.
You can't win.
You can't win.
Can't win.
And I know I don't have any attitude that thinks I might win, so I don't even enjoy going.
I think it's addictive personalities have problems with that.
I don't think I have that, except for candy bars.
Yeah.
But, so no, I never, I'm sure there were some mobsters' kids that went to school with me.
Probably.
But I just don't know who they were.
Yeah. Well, Chris, what's next? What's next if you don't get another film, which you will? Well, you don't know if they don't.
I don't know. I think basically what I'm going to do, which is what I'm doing now, which our friend Teresa's helping me with.
Teresa Evans.
Teresa Evans.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
I didn't know
I heard
that
that
you were
today.
friends with her till this morning.
That is great. So
she's one of my best friends. And
and she has a great eye for fixing things up. And
she's got a great eye for
new
everything.
house she's done, yes. And so basically, we started yesterday revamping one of the downstairs bathrooms, which has been kind of out of commission for quite a while at the house here. And so she's had a couple guys that she's introduced me to, and they're helping me they're doing it. They're redoing this bathroom, and I'll have them do other things in the house. So right now, I'm putting a list together of all the things I need to do in the house, and just go one at a time. So then when I'm ready to sell the house at, let's say, the end of the year, it will be ready to go. I won't need to, people won't come in and say, hey, that bathroom's really bad, I'm not going to buy a house, or this is broken, or whatever. So
I think now's the time to sell.
Yeah, it's a good time to sell. I still have to wait till kind of, again, that's why I wanted to do the next show. Let's say the next show takes me till the end of the year. Then during this year, I'm going to pack my house because I'm a procrastinator on getting things organized to go. So I moved here 20 years ago. I still have boxes in the basement that I haven't unpacked.
Is that right?
Which is kind of stupid, but yeah. So right now my goal is to organize things and pack it to move to San Diego. But I'm donating over 50% of the stuff that I'm packing. So that's good. So I thought, and I'm still thinking too much, but I thought at least you're cutting it well over half. You're donating as much as you can, and which Habitat for Humanity is my favorite donation place.
As long as they're there and open, right?
Yeah, I know the day. I know when they're open.
Yeah.
So they're always there.
How long does it take to drive to San Diego from here?
It would take you probably a good 4 days. It's
3 nights in a motel?
probably right, because I know when I flew there 2 weeks ago, on the plane, of course, it's like 1,800 miles, but that's as the crow flies.
Yeah.
I'd say it's about 2,200. I was looking at it because I thought, how do I move my stuff? When I moved here, and I moved here with my best friend, John, lives here. And so when we moved his parents out here, I've driven 4 trucks across country between Vegas and LA. We've driven 4 trucks worth of furniture and stuff belonging to my family and to his family. So I thought, do I get a big pod and put the stuff in, or do I rent a big truck? Because I don't think the moving van is the way to go. From all my friends' experience with the moving companies, they don't seem to work as well. The pod thing maybe is the way I'm going to go, because I'm trying to, again, take less. But when I was looking to drive a truck across, I think it was 2,200 miles.
So that's like 4 days of driving 10 hours a day or 6 hours a day?
Yeah. I mean, and I tend to not stop anywhere when I go, just like get in the car and go, but do your 10 or 12 hours and then stop when I drove the trucks across before. But
Stop for lunch?
Yep, stop for lunch, stop to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I don't really stop to sightsee, but because I want to go from point A to point B pretty quick. But,
That's a long way.
It's a long
4
way.
days. That'd be like for leaving now and getting there Friday.
I think it's 4. I would say 4. It could be 5. I don't know. But I think what I'll end up doing is shipping the car and getting a big pod, loading the pod up, and let them take it out on a truck.
That's right.
And I'll fly on the plane with the cats. So that's kind of the current plan.
Hoping the one doesn't have trouble with the kidneys, right?
I hope not. We got 2. Well, we'll see, as we go along. I mean, right now, knock wood, they're doing good. Right now, of course, with the workers there, they're like, I'm trying to keep them in one room so they don't, because the workers don't know. You can't open the door. If a sick cat runs outside, you'll never see them again. And so we've done pretty good there. And then our friend Teresa comes by and kind of watches in on stuff, which is good. So this is good.
Well, Chris, it's been you've been very, 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 very interesting.
Well,
I had no idea about this with the movie industry.
I don't know how interesting, but hopefully it was a little bit.
I think it
But
opened
I like
up.
talking about some of it. So
And
thank you.
I'll see you at the movies.
You will indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gary.